Welcome to AWS On Air. My name is Aileen Gemma Smith, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm the head of developer relations for online and America teams here at AWS. And today I am so pleased to welcome you to AWS Community Voices, highlighting our AWS User Group leaders. AWS User Groups are on every single continent except for Antarctica. They're active in over 90 countries. And the oldest AWS user groups have been around for over 10 years. The largest user groups have over 10,000 members. And in Japan, the user group community there is so vibrant that they have over 60 independent chapters. With the rapid adoption of AWS among developers, builders, architects, startups, and enterprises, communities have organically organized over 450 AWS-focused user groups around the world. The user groups are vibrant, diverse, peer-to-peer communities who are united with a desire to learn and to share their experiences as they build relationships with like-minded technologists and builders. Members can amplify their AWS knowledge, collaborate with leaders and peers, and even, and importantly, make friends, all in an open, safe environment that encourages free thinking and diverse viewpoints. I am so pleased to welcome our guests today who hail from all over the world. Vanessa is coming in from Sao Paulo. Anas is here from Lebanon, Martin from New York City, and Steve from Philly. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us, Aileen.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Aileen.
So let us begin this world tour with some introductions. Tell us, for everyone who's tuning in, who you are, where you are. Give us some perspective about your user group. Vanessa, I'd love if you can kick us off.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Vanessa, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm representing the user groups, not only from Sao Paulo, but also all the user group from Brazil. Hi, everyone. Hope that you chat and interact with all of us today.
Awesome. All right. Moving on to Lebanon. Anas, please.
Hi, Aileen. Hi, Vanessa, Steve, Martin. Thank you for having me. I'm Anas Khattar from Lebanon, and very happy to be representing our user group and the MENA region in general. Thank you.
All right. And Northeast Corridor represent. Martin and Steve. Gentlemen, I'm so excited to have each of you here. Martin from New York, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Aileen. Hi, everyone. My name is Martin Paradesi, and I'm the community organizer of AWS Machine Learning Community in New York City. Huge shout out to our community in New York and fellow New Yorkers out there. Our community, as you can see from behind me, we focus on exploring concepts related to the AWS learning products, such as Deep Racer, Deep Composer, and Deep Lens. Like all meetups during these times, we have switched to an online-only format. So we encourage people from all across America, as well as the rest of the world, to join us. So if you're new to machine learning and want to learn more about AI ML services offered by AWS, feel free to join our meetup group.
Awesome. Steve, rounding it out.
Great. Hi, I'm Steve Pressman. I'm from the Greater Philadelphia, excuse me, AWS User Group. I run the group with a talented group of individuals from Alpine Cyber Solutions who help me out and do all of the heavy lifting and let me just be a figurehead, which is nice. The group is very diverse. We just crossed over 1,000 users. We're real proud of that. And we get together at least monthly to chat and learn new things and learn from each other. And just like Aileen said, become friends and colleagues and have a community to bounce things off of. So for those of you out there who aren't user group members, get involved. It doesn't cost you anything except your time and your energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also for the folks tuning in, please remember this is a live show. We welcome your questions or your shout outs from the group. So if you'd like to reach to us during this show, please tweet at AWS On Air with any questions that you've got. So let's get started. reInvent. How has this been for everybody? Talk to me about what you're hearing from your user groups and what's been really exciting in this week and a half so far.
I'll jump in. So for me, it's it's been weird. It's that weekend after Thanksgiving has always been that stressful time to find to get to the airport and get on a plane and get to Vegas and blink and then have sore legs and come home after a week of having your brain expanded. But this year, it's I'm not going to say it's bad. And just like everything else in the age of COVID, it is what you make of it. So I'm enjoying the keynotes more. Whereas when I'm in Vegas, it's a pain in the neck to get into a room with all the people and get through the lines and do all of this. And we end up watching them from the hotel room instead as a result. I've enjoyed a lot more being part of it, even though they're in some strange corner of the world in a studio. I feel closer to it in some weird way. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, a lot of folks have actually shared that. And Vanessa, I'd love to hear some of your perspectives because it is an amazing way to think about how many folks now have access to attend reInvent right from the comfort of their own home. But it also breaks down barriers for folks who before might have found the travel or the time away a challenge. Vanessa, what have you been seeing? What has this experience been like for you?
Yeah, actually, I miss very much the personal interaction and to keep with everyone, to drink a cup of coffee between the sessions. But you're right, Eileen, it's interesting the way that we can reach more people, and when we talk with each other, not only our usual friends that we go to see the sessions, but also with all the user groups around the world. Last week I was talking with Sandy, hi Sandy, and Mexico user groups, and we keep exchanging the experience. So it's definitely different, and we have a lot to keep up yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Martin, I'm curious. Since Swami's keynote was pretty exciting, what kinds of things were you seeing or takeaways were exciting for you?
Yeah, so it was a huge shift in the sense that Swami gave the first ML keynote this year. Usually Andy does that every year, but I think the number of announcements and the features released by AWS this year have been so huge. It deserves a separate keynote altogether. And it was interesting to see the industrial offerings or ML offerings for the industries out there.
Yeah.
But some features that touched our community is the SageMaker announcements, which were huge in the sense of running your data or processing your data and models in a parallel fashion, and profiling of your deep learning models with SageMaker Debugger. And also for the first time, Amazon Clarify, which is a bias detector, so that we are we make just and truthful predictions without any bias. So those were some interesting announcements. Some of the other things, because I've used databases in the past, and I've been a user of Redshift for the last 5 years. One of the cool features was the Redshift machine learning, which, if you think about it, it saves a lot of cost to deploy a machine learning model within Redshift. It's just a user-defined function, and you can just call it internally. You don't pay anything extra for it. It's just the compute and storage that you pay for a Redshift cluster, which you would do anyway. So it's interesting to see how the cost of doing machine learning has come down significantly.
And a lot of the barriers to getting started as well. You go from needing to have, here's my deep expert that needs to set all this up and get all this ramped up, to making it actually more accessible for a lot of different folks. So Naz, I'm curious to hear from you in the week and some odd that's happened to date. What have you found most interesting or most exciting, or what's feedback that you've gotten from your folks in your user groups?
Some of the folks at my user group, Beirut, shout out to Lebanon. Hey, everyone. It was the millisecond charging for Lambda. That was a big announcement, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
It's gonna save a lot of costs running your Lambdas, and it's already cheap, you know, but still, you know, Amazon, we're used to AWS getting their services cheaper and cheaper every year, and so that was an exciting. And me personally, I loved the Mac instances, the EC2 Mac instances.
Absolutely.
So now you can have
stadium, but you know.
So yeah, these are like couple services. There's tons of them, the services, but these are just on top of my tongue. So it's really exciting. It's really exciting to keep up with all those new releases. And the thing is, every time during reInvent, I get this feeling that I'm on top of my AWS skills, and I'm on top of my I'm on top of my game. But then reInvent comes in, and then you have to go over again and start
Start
learning new.
over again.
Yeah, it's
learning new
true.
stuff.
But
But it's part of the experience, that.
with that point, that's one. There's a negative, right? That so for me, I'm not being forced to engage with reInvent like I would be if I were in Vegas and 3 hours separated from my home. That's what else am I going to do? I'm there for reInvent. I'm going to be AWS through and through. I found that I'm not really giving the deep focus to my own growth. I'm loving the new content, the new services, but I'm not all all AWS in like I would be if I were in Vegas. So that's a great point, Anas.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually,
go ahead,
go.
Vanessa.
Oh, actually, this year I'm experiencing, and also inside my community, the way that AWS are expanding the way of delivering new services, not only as developers, but also for architects and sysops, and the way that AWS addresses the possibility of careers in IT, it's awesome. As I saw in this new year launches, one that I would like to highlight that Martin just said about database, his previous database history, is Amazon Babelfish. It's a really huge and great way to put everyone in a new perspective, to embrace people inside tech, to go and to empower people to go and to do more.
Yeah, well, let's lean into that a bit more, because I think that we all have that experience that, okay, I feel comfortable, I've got this, and then suddenly there's all of this new learning, and there's all of these new things that, oh my goodness, when and how am I going to figure out, how do I get to mastery of that? And I think part of the amazing potential in what we see, and why I'm so grateful to have amazing folks like you joining us today, is that user groups help to bring that all together. Right? Because we're all constantly learning. So it's not, oh my goodness, you don't know that, you're not welcome. It's more about, well, we're all still figuring that out together. And now that we have the high class problem, if you will, of so many different new things that have come out, what do we want to scrub into first? So I would actually love to hear, because this is something that we had talked about when we sat together with the heroes last week. What advice that you have for newer builders and developers that are getting started, that see everything with reInvent and say, but oh my goodness, I'm not sure where to begin. I'd love to hear words of advice or suggestions or things that you've encountered from your user groups.
Sure, I can jump in. So I think Andy mentioned in his keynote that it's better to re-architect your application every few years, right? Based on the new services that come out. They'll save on cost as well as latency and other good features that come along with it. But one of the other things that he mentioned in his keynote was his profound explanation of what is the hybrid model. Like, I know it has been propagated by vendors, by other cloud providers. But if you think about it, hybrid model is just you have a compute and storage anywhere in the world, whether it's using local zones or wavelengths on 5G networks and stuff like that. So I did go to one of the talks of ECS Anywhere, and the speaker showed this fantastic presentation of him processing some data files from on-premise data center as well as AWS. And towards the end of his talk, he showed that his on-premise data center was actually a couple of Raspberry Pis. And I was fascinated because my kids use Raspberry Pis as the desktop computer. So I'm thinking of use cases right now to how to use ECS Anywhere to put the compute in their hands as well.
Oh, that's no, that's huge. And so, Aileen, going directly at what you said, to me, I used to be a system administrator. I was a Windows guy. I was a Solaris guy. That was my world. I worked in that, making things work for people. So I feel like I came from a mindset that really thirsted for this. But I also know a lot of people in my former shoes have a hard time with this because it's different. I've got patterns that I'm used to. People need to come to me to get things. I am the keeper of the kingdom, and I'm not trying to disparage that because it was the way of the world for so long. But I think the biggest advice I'd give to people is let it go. Embrace the change. Embrace what the platform can do. Instead of looking at something and saying that won't work because, say, well, that could work because, kind of turn it on its head, turn it from a no to a yes, and then see what you can do with it and try it out, build something.
Yeah, and I like your approach, Steve, because it's we can address another perspective when we take a framework as AWS well-architected framework and use the framework steps to refresh our perspective regarding our workload. So it's interesting.
So from my point, it's always about hands-on demos, workshops. This gets people real feel of the new services and how can they can develop on. I remember we did a lot of workshops on Amplify, AWS Amplify, and the user group just loved it, and it was a little bit different because we don't have a lot of front-end developers back then in the user group. It was more like back-end developers, engineers, architects. Um, so when we started with AWS Amplify, we started to see a lot of front-end developers joining in and seeing how easy it is to use the Amplify SDK. And so I'd prefer to have a workshop like we have those recap meetups after reInvent, and maybe we can do also workshops after reInvent with some of those new services. That's always a good idea to have hands-on experience with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and us, that's great because I mean it's the elephant in the room, right? We're all user group people. Like, how do you get engaged? How do you get in the platform? Come to us, come to the user groups. I know that from our standpoint, we've got a few uh, really seasoned members of our user group who love to instruct and mentor and tutor. We've got repeat offenders who present to us. Keith Gregory, Jason Poley, Bert Zanizar. They do great things for us, and as a result, people really get passionate about the platform as a result of seeing other people into it. You want to be part of the crowd, right? There's a certain amount of psychology to that.
Yeah, and even beyond boundaries of our own country, such as engaging user groups at other countries and setting e-meetups together using, I don't know, English as a main language so everyone can understand each other. So it's a different way to have fun and to stay connected in times like this and to see different perspectives that each user groups and each regions are deploying or are using AWS to go to build and to do more.
Absolutely.
Last year we helped start more than 6 new AWS user groups in the MENA region.
That's wonderful.
And it was a lot of nice collaboration. I have a lot of new friends. I encourage everyone to check out AWS user groups on Amazon's website, on AWS's website. It's you can just search for it, AWS user groups. You're not gonna miss it. You can also check it out on meetup.com, where most of the user groups organize right now. So and I encourage everyone to start, like, think of, if they don't have a user group around them or near them, start one. It's an amazing experience. It's a life-changing experience, actually, like, for your career, for your friends, for a lot of yeah.
You can, by the way, the same way you spawned off other user groups, we've done the same in Philadelphia, where there's a Lehigh Valley, which is just north of Philadelphia. They've got their own user group now because they came to ours, learned how to do it, learned what to do, and kind of did it on their own. And it's great because they're maturing at a different level and a different direction than we are, and we're still connected and tied. By the way, the developers page on the AWS website has a community section, and there's this awesome world map you can click and find your user group. It's easy to do.
Yeah, and one thing to note is experts are everywhere, right? Like, we don't have a boundary. Like, we don't expect to find experts only in New York City. So feel free to reach out to anyone. And we have a good community of AWS heroes, as well as community builders and user group leaders. So feel free to tap into those resources to ensure that you can build what you want, what you have in mind, or what you want to build.
Absolutely. And I so appreciate just the vibrancy and the support that we have within all of these communities to help folks learn and build and grow. And coming back to what you said, Anas, this can be transformational to your life, to your career. It's not simply, okay, I'm going to something on a Thursday afternoon and I'm going to learn how, to do some function in something. Okay, so what? You meet folks that may become your friends and your future colleagues. You learn how to solve problems. And one of the things that's really inspiring for me, looking across all of these different user groups is what's possible, right? Just like you said, Steve, that your user group has a particular lens and a particular focus. Other folks came in and said, oh, we want to learn how to do that. Now we're going to take and build on it. And we may have a different theme and a different approach, and that's fine. But we're all ultimately learning together and we're all bringing one another up. So that is one of the most exciting things. And again, shout out to all of the user groups that are there. For folks that are tuning in, if you've got questions for us, absolutely tweet to @AWS on air with your questions, and folks will get them across to us. And certainly if you're tuning in from any of these user groups, give a wave hi so we can give you a shout out. Because again, we're just so excited to be here. So what I want to move on to is getting a sense of, now that here we are almost at the midway point with reInvent, what are the learnings and the takeaways that you're seeing? Here's what I'd love to report back to my user groups, or here's what I've already report back. I'd love if we can lean into that bit.
Well, so I can jump in this time. Well, what I've been learning is each reInvent edition, I see AWS launch products to builders, not only to developers. Since I'm studying solution architect, for me, it's a really easier way to go and to dive into new tech stuffs and to new learnings and to connect into a so easier way with my colleagues. So I really appreciate that. Services like Amazon Anywhere that were presented until now, and I'm looking for actually for the Werner's keynote. Usually, our user group here, we are really cheer for that. So actually, I believe this is the main topic that I want to highlight, is that each year in the reInvent, I learn new things and it looks becoming more easier. It's still a lot new products and services to learn, but it's coming easier.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so funny you mentioned Werner's keynote, because that's always that's the crown jewel, right? That's the one that we all come for. That's the rock show. Like he brings the thunder. And when Andy came out, I got to be honest, I've never been a fan of Andy's keynotes. And I don't mean to disparage Andy in any way. I've always found them to be more customer focused, more things that are less toys. I want toys. I want things to play with. I want new technologies. But man, he really brought it this year. That keynote where, I mean, Lambda is revolutionized. I'm a DevOps guy, and I know Anas is as well. And for us, our world is very different now than it was a week and a half ago before Andy's keynote. Not just the Mac instances that Anas talked about, or the sub-second or the millisecond charging, but Proton. I got to say, Proton is the new deployment mechanism for Lambdas. I always catch people when I'm interviewing folks for jobs. That's my question: how do you deploy your Lambdas? And I tell them right off the bat, there is no good way to do it, because I want to hear how they've worked around the fact that it's a difficult thing to do in an elegant way. So Proton brings another toy to the table that we can possibly use to make this better. And DevOps Guru and that idea that we can have something smarter than us looking objectively from the outside at our practices and see that we're doing things in a secure way, because you got to. Sometimes if you're in worlds like mine, sometimes you're the only DevOps person, and sometimes you're also the security person.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
so guys, take care of the playground. Take care.
Yeah, exactly.
Security is job zero. Steve, I work with an AWS partner, an APN partner, and I was really taken by the APN keynote. Last week, end of last week, they released a lot of new services or programs, if you want, for APN partners. And I like the ISV partner. It's a new path. It's a new
Mhm.
partner path, and it's very interesting for technology partners and the way things are looking up. In the partner world, let's say the APN partner world, because it's a little bit different than the community. The community ecosystem or environment. It's more commercial and more focused and more serious, I think. But it's really interesting to see how partners are shaping up the you know the scene, the cloud scene. AWS partners. There's a lot of new services and new partners announcing new products. So yeah, this is one of the good keynotes I keep up. Of course, Andy, you cannot miss Andy. Is keynote, customer of customer obsession and uh, based on customers' request, we presented this, and based on customers' request, we presented this. You know how it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Steve, back to your point, it's important to do DevOps and stuff. I'm glad about the Proton announcement, because I do run some microservices, and it helps with managing the version compatibility across those different microservices and stuff.
Sure.
I'm glad they released something similar for machine learning as well, like SageMaker pipelines, which
Mhm.
are like DevOps for machine learning. So it's good that AWS is encouraging us developers to enhance our own capabilities in writing in well-managed framework as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's funny because Anas, you mentioned too, I don't know that there were all of these keynotes before. I don't remember there being as many keynotes. I seem to recall it was Andy, it was Partner, it was Werner, and maybe there was one or two. But the fact that there's this extra time and we can see more things, I enjoyed the hell out of the infrastructure keynote today. I didn't expect to. I did expect to because I'm an old school nerd, so I love that stuff. But honestly, I didn't expect new features to come out of it, and sure enough, the reachability analyzer I thought was very cool. Like, it's a real problem that real people have with the real solution. And can I get to my stuff? And then here's a tool to help you do that. And I think in us that speaks to what you were saying. I'm sorry, it was Martin. Bringing the ability closer, refining it, making it easier, making it better. It's in true AWS style. Put it out there and then make it amazing.
Yeah, exactly what I meant. The right tool for the right job and for all builders, all kind of builders. This is amazing.
Awesome. I'll nerd out more if you want. I don't mind. I'll talk.
That's what we're here for. This is what community is all about. We're sharing things we're passionate about. So talk to us, Steve. What else are you excited about from what you saw, whether today or in the previous days?
So it's funny because I'm in my personal work. I'm about to start a new project where I think I'm going to get to play with the Mac instances, and I am like, squee, like ready to go. Again, this is something that's not new. You've had the ability to get Mac hosted stuff in the past, but to have it in my cloud formation or in my Terraform or in my same sphere of influence where I can more easily deploy it automatically, more easily configure it automatically. That's awesome. And like Python Code Guru was released this week. I'm a Python guy. I'm not afraid to admit that I like tabs. Like, I know there's some people who crap on me, but I like to tab my code. So having Code Guru treat my language of choice like a grown up is kind of nice. And yeah, like other things like the global accelerator, custom routing. I look forward to having a need to use global accelerator. I comprehend it, and I think it's amazing. And the custom routing just gives more edge capability to people to come up with something new. Don't tell me why you shouldn't go to, again, get away from the no, go to the yes. Why? It's not why shouldn't I go to the cloud? It's why should I stay in this silly data center of mine that I run maybe poorly? I don't know.
Do you know how they say it's not an optional matter going to the cloud? It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
And it cannot be better than 2020 for this, with all the demand growing on cloud services. By the way, Martin, with all the nice ML gadgets behind you, I can see the deep lens. I can see Deep Composer. There's also the Amazon Panorama, I think it's, or the small
Yes.
sensors with uh, temperature and vibration sensor. What's it called?
So I think that is Monitron is what you're thinking about.
Monitron, yeah.
The Panorama is for computer vision tasks. So those are two announcements, I think, that are geared more towards industrial things. Like I wouldn't fit a Monitron on my oven or my fridge or something, right?
So since Steve likes to build toys, I just want to suggest to all of you, next time when we become able to meet each other again, let's build a beer machine using all of those kind of stuff and have some fun. Gather every user group members together and grab some beers and have fun.
I think it was like 2014 or 2015. reInvent had beer as a service.
I think it was called Simple Beer Service or something like that.
No, not like that. Just ask Alexa. And she will provide. She will provide.
I like it.
There was the beer stickers. I don't know if you ever got them. It was very popular, and it was like very unique sticker, and everybody wanted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yes.
I think I have one here. You see.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Wow, that's
I love it.
laptop right there.
Okay, guys, you just put me inside the trouble. I'm just seeing here my WhatsApp popping up. The guys, everyone here in Brazil. Oh, I want one of those. I want one of those.
And we do have a shout out from Twitter saying, hello, Vanessa from the user group in Sao Paulo. So, hey, everybody, we are here. But this is actually really exciting because, Martin, I want to come back to, you've got a lot of really neat things behind you. What are you interested in playing with more now, especially in light of recent announcements and such like that?
Sure. So this year they didn't announce any deep product yet. I mean, who knows? Maybe they will, they won't. Not sure, but they've at least enriched the experience for Deep Racer. And they made separate leagues for, it's called Open and Pro. So you have to compete in the Open League to get into the Pro League. So that's good because we usually have a variety of people who come to our meetup groups. Some are beginners, some are pros. So we can't have the same session for that attracts all people, right? So I think splitting them into these leagues definitely helps a lot. But also during these times, self shout out to myself is every week since Deep Composer preview was launched in February, I've taken a classical piece of music and seen what generations used by Deep Composer. So if you're looking for songs from Bach or Saint-Saëns or any classical composer, you can check out my YouTube channel and see what Deep Composer generates based on this.
That's awesome. Have you combined them? Have you made like the Uber composer or?
No, I've had to remix them. I'll definitely have a remix tape or something out there.
Nice. Like the Captain Planet of composers.
Exciting. Well, I mean, again, there's just so much that's going on, and I actually want to lean into something that you had just said, Martin, that we do see in user groups. Folks come from all different points in where they are in learning, and especially as someone who's spent a lot of time working with folks who are beginning or folks that are high school or uni students, sometimes for beginners it can be really overwhelming to say, oh, but I'm not there yet. Do I belong here? Am I welcome here? And it's great to know that you've got sort of tiered leagues to meet different levels of proficiency, which is awesome. But what I would love to lean into is, again, for folks that are getting started, that might be on the fence as to whether or not should I join a user group? How do I know if I belong? What's the advice that you give for them so they know that we're all actually continuing to learn and build?
So I think just speaking to other user group leaders as part of our workshop, I see everyone has a very diverse and inclusive viewpoint. So they want to include as many people as possible, right? And for myself, we've had folks come in and ask SageMaker questions or something that are not featured behind me. But we do help them out. And there are people in our community who are experts in SageMaker and other AI ML tools. So reach out to your to a meetup group, and I'm sure you'll find someone in the group who knows about something. It may not be directly related to the product or the talk that they're giving that day, but definitely there's some knowledge that can be shared among folks as well.
And if there's a topic that that somebody wants that we don't have a planned meeting for, we'll go and find somebody. We'll either go to our regular well of folks, or a couple of people who are regular attendees to our user group are AWS employees, and they can reach out within the ecosystem and find us people. That's always been a real fruitful way for us in terms of engaging with people of all levels. Because again, early on, and when we were running the Philadelphia user group, we were concerned because we kept doing a lot of stuff that was at this level. So everybody who was at this level, everyone was here and here was a little bit left out. So what we try to do now is we try to think in terms of quarters when we schedule. So in that quarter, we try to do, like I said, a user group meeting a month where we'll do a beginner session. We'll do an advanced session, and then we'll do an integration session that reaches out to perhaps another user group. That's become a little weird with the changes in the world as they are this year, but we're hoping to get back to that in the new year. But the beginner session, I've done it a few times where it's, here's how you make your first AWS account. And I'll actually walk through and we'll go through it, and we'll talk about the things like, hey, by the way, when you do this, make sure you turn off the other regions you don't need, because you don't look at them and you might end up with some resources there that you don't want. So things along those lines where it's some best practices just to get people in. But also then the next month we'll do something on, an advanced workshop on containerization, so that folks who are deep into that world don't feel like they're not heard in our community.
For sure. Vanessa, I'd love some perspectives. What's the energy and the vibrancy of the Sao Paulo group like?
Oh, it's awesome. I love everyone. Actually, those steps that Steve and Martin mentioned, I lived that by experience. I started my AWS learning path steps by reaching a member of AWS Sao Paulo user group. And here I am. So don't be afraid. Reach your community, engage with your community. It's a really safe and inclusive place. There is no weird question. Everyone is very welcome. And well, go and find your user group.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a shout out to our mentors in the user group. Please, we have Ali Khattar. He's always next to everyone new, and he'll answer any question they have. Also, Nicholas Khouri, Ghassan, and Basil Annan, community builders as well in our user group, and they're always helping everyone new and one with any kind of question. Everyone according to their expertise, of course. But you always find those people in user groups, So shout out to Lebanon user group. Hi guys.
And also to Amir. I had the pleasure to meet him last year at a ring event. Hi.
And Ahmad, AWS Arabi is doing a great job, spreading AWS knowledge and helping newbies like Hero. Yeah, I remember Hero. AWS newbies, there's the AWS Hero. Her name is Hero.
Hero! The job!
Yeah, shout out to Hero as well.
Fantastic user group. Love everyone from Japan user group.
Absolutely.
Hiromi.
Yes.
Hiromi. Sorry.
And your groups actually have been expanding. I know before we started this broadcast, we were chatting about how we're starting to see growth. I would love if you could share more of that.
Yes, our user groups are growing in the region. We've just started the Jordan user group, which is really exciting, and hopefully they will do their launching next month. So folks in Jordan, you now have a user group. You have to check it out on meetup.com. It's Mu'taz, he's leading it. He's an ex-Amazonian as well, so he's very good DevOps engineer, and he's helping startups right now, and they really need startups in Jordan. They really need an AWS user group to to support them. Startups are sometimes they are their budgets are limited, and they have to do a lot of wear many different hats. So the user group ecosystem or environment is very suitable for startups as well. They testing new ideas and exploring new services to build their apps and their startups. So yeah, of course, what better than joining a user group if you have a startup as well. The energy startups bring into the meetups is really amazing as well. It's a little bit different than the enterprise audience, but they can bounce off each other. Like a lot of times I've seen it in our user groups. A lot of they exchange contacts, and then a lot of new projects start. I've seen a lot of IoT projects kick off during our meetups, like with nice ideas. And uh, so yeah, I can talk till the morning on benefits of user groups and the community in general.
That's one of the things I miss about being in person this year is that I find, so we use Chime, trying to support the platform. We use Chime for broadcasting during COVID. We have been very much against broadcasting our user groups when we were in person, just because we wanted to engender that togetherness. And I'll be honest, I miss it because we don't go out for a drink afterwards. We don't have good conversation afterwards. Some people are comfortable asking questions in a digital format. Some people just really aren't, because there's that natural fear of being judged and whatnot. But yeah, once we're back free again, I'm really looking forward to getting that sort of engagement, Anas, like you're talking. I've wanted to do things with our Deep Lens and with our Deep Racer, and even just building something with a pie, like Martin's kids. It's what we need to be doing. It's reInvent is the name of the thing that happens for a couple of weeks or a few weeks now, but we need to be reinventing things all the time, right? That's what the platform's for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I love how folks have adapted in so many ways to say, even though we can't be together in person, here's what we're going to do. And how
Right.
can we use the opportunity that we're all online now, instead of being a barrier, to again say, this creates a different kind of equity because there's so much more access.
Sure.
And with that, I actually want to come to a question that's come into us from Twitter for Vanessa. Talk to us about some of the challenges and what you've seen as opportunities or paths forward for making AWS user groups more inclusive.
Okay, this is a great question. Thank you. Actually, I believe the main barrier that we have to pass is to create a safe environment to people to feel comfortable, to come inside, to step up, to speak up, and to feel belonging to the community. So if I can give some tips for you,
Please.
just be approachable, be nice with the people, go and really become interested in what learnings, what path the other people from the other side want to go for. It's two sides learning.
Yeah,
I believe this is a great way of start.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know that we have like there's a local economic development council, and they have an inclusiveness and diversity group, and we try to engage with them, and we haven't been successful yet. But I'm kind of inspired by you, Vanessa. I really want to get more of that engaged with our user group, and let's they have a girls in tech
Yeah.
that they do every year. If I have to say one thing, I mean, we have some very dedicated female members to our group, but they are definitely the minority in our
let's change that. Give to them the place to speak up.
Yeah.
It's very important to bring into our community role models, so we'll be able to see ourselves in the future, in a close future, you know.
Oh, but that is so transformational, especially for folks that are underrepresented, or I like to say underestimated, right? That I need to give you, right? We as leaders can use the privilege and the opportunity that we have to say, I've created a platform, I'm giving you the mic. I've created this opportunity. I want to put you up as the presenter, right? Because that's how the shape of things change. And I think all too often, we miss out on opportunities because we're not thinking bigger. And what's inspired me is there is so much that we can do. And again, when I think about, we have user groups on every single continent except Antarctica. You know, we've got, right, like maybe they're working on some that are research oriented, right, which is necessary. But think about what that means when you want to change the potential of the conversation. You know, you can't be what you can't see. Well, how are we saying, I'm going to make sure in the fabric of our language, in how we do all of these interactions, that folks feel like, I want to be a part of this. I can be a part of this. And we don't have some of those subtle barriers where someone might say, I'm not sure that I want to join that. I don't know that I would belong. Oh, wait, they've written this differently. They've showed that this is a diverse, slate of speakers every single time. That's amazing. And when you think about the opportunities, and I think, Anas, you said over 1,000 folks are in the user groups that you've got, and same for you, Steve. Vanessa, all up, I know that you've got a larger number, is not a competition. But when you think about, it isn't, right? Because you have densities in different cities, and that's all fine.
We're the same. We're a global and huge community.
We're global and we're borderless. And how are we doing more to bring folks together? And same thing for you, Martin, that you've got here, we're going to focus on this vertical, but everyone is welcome to come and build. So I would love to hear perspectives and suggestions and ideas, and even stories of success that we can share. We've still got a few minutes left, but I would love to hear that from each of you today.
I'll just jump in. Sorry. The tech sector in general and developers, it's usually there's not a good representation of females or girls in tech, and it's very important to encourage them and help them just get started. We have Fatima from Bahrain. She's leading the Bahrain user group. Hey Fatima, I hope you're online. And she was she was the energy behind putting together the AWS Community Day, Mina, and she was encouraging us. She was the only girl between all the user group leads in the region, but she was actually leading all of us, because if we were left to our own, like as guys between each other, we wouldn't have done half what we've done by having Fatima lead us into this. So thank you, Fatima, really, for your efforts. And as well, we have Ouadi from Morocco. Ouadi was he did the website, and he was organizing our notes and meeting notes. So as well, shout out to Ouadi. I just wanna do this for inclusion, as the topic is about inclusion right now, and I'm grateful for having to have worked with the user group leads from our region. And thank you, AWS, for presenting this opportunity for us as well. So yeah, this is my perspective of what happened. Yeah, so
that's great.
Love the shout outs. Who wants to go next?
Yeah,
we need more of these shout outs and stories. Go for it.
Yeah, during the initial stages of our meetup, like when we just started, we used to have a father and son duo who used to come to our meetup, and it was good because the son was interested in technology and he was interested in machine learning. So that was a way to bring up the next generation of machine learning practitioners, if you will. So we're always looking for that. And I know we also have a huge woman who code community in New York City, and we want to partner with other underrepresented communities within New York City. So that's our plan for next year. But I think the success story is just finding avenues for other people who we would normally think of, like students or other folks who are new to tech as well, who are transitioning from a different career into tech as well. So that's the plan for next year once we go to in person.
Yeah, and for folks to know, careers are a journey, right? Just because you haven't started out in tech or you don't have a comp sci degree, I'm proud holder of an English major, right? Think about what does your learning journey look like, and who are the amazing folks that you can bring together with you to help you rise up and to help you keep learning. Vanessa, I would love if you've got any shout outs or stories like Anas and Martin has shared.
Actually, if I may highlight,
Please.
I'm emotional actually because it's amazing to see how I was able to reach when I started to believe in myself. It's amazing. It's amazing, and all of that happened just because the support of my community. So go, stand for each other, support your community, and you will be amazed how far you can go. I mean, we're more than 8,000 now, only in São Paulo, and we can be awesome together. Let's grab everyone and assemble all the user groups worldwide. And why not to build a community day?
Yes.
25 by 7.
I love it. I love it. Steve?
Yeah, so it's funny. My brain's been going trying to figure the best way to present this, but for me, the best way to bring people in is to show them the art of the possible.
Yes.
It's sort of, yeah, come do AWS. It's Amazon. Is that shopping? Like, so the understanding just even the realm that we're in, it can be so powerful, and I think that's something that can increase diversity across the board. I mean, it can increase participation across the board. But we have one user group member. Her name's Ellen Hill, and she works for a retirement community, and she comes from a background of nursing.
Okay.
So we brought her in to IT, and we together with some of my teammates, Jeremy Wheeler and David Yoakum and Sandeep Kastori, we brought together her and AWS. We brought this retirement community together with AWS, and I'll tell you, she is now one of our biggest advocates, and it's great. And it's funny because I don't often enough appreciate what that experience, that holistic experience over the years that it's been, has done for our community in terms of diversifying it. I mean, again, one of our most, she doesn't miss a session, and that's powerful. We need to leverage that and reach out to her and use her as an advocate, as a voice to others in a similar place. And there's so much value to be had here. You don't even have to be in IT to get value out of the platform. You can come to it. It can come to you. So yeah, I think there's power to what we do.
I love that, and I love how we've all shared stories and shout outs for amazing individuals. So yay for that. But also just coming back to what you said, Vanessa, how important it is to believe in yourself. Right. So for folks out there listening, don't let anyone else define who you are or what you're capable of. You define that. And for folks that are user group leaders, I really think we have an opportunity to be the beacon for others in the work that we do, whether that's empowering, whether that's here's how we're enabling by creating a platform, whether it's here's how we are making the effort of doing the work for that outreach. That's where that transformation happens. I do not want this session to end, but we are coming close on time. But that's all right, because we are all online. So shout out again to all of these amazing user groups. Remember, even when this live session closes, you can still reach out to Anas and to Steve and to Vanessa and to Martin. So please, please do that. But I will have to close. And the way that I want to close is by going around and asking everyone to please share one piece of advice for folks that are tuning in, that if they were to forget everything else that you shared today, what do they need to know? Who'd like to kick it off?
Oh, it's hard to pick one.
Uh,
So I don't mind going first. I'm a big mouth. To me, it's the open mind. It's
Yeah.
forget what you think you can't do, and instead focus on what you can do. And every little change that you make, and I'm I'm talking broadly. I'm talking in your community. I'm talking in your world, but I'm also talking in your applications, in your technology. Every little change you make to move towards the cloud and to move to more availability and to more elasticity is a change you don't have to make in the future, is an outage you avoid in the future, is an improvement you make that hopefully won't be undone and spurs more of its own. So turn your no I can't into yes I will.
Love it.
um, I'll go next. My piece of advice is don't be afraid. You can start small. Get certified is not a hard thing. You can start with a cloud practitioner. It will structure your journey, and it will give you a head start on confidence as well. You know, you'd be well-rounded with the main services of the AWS ecosystem, and or the developer associate. There's a lot of there's a associate certificates as well. It's a really good start to just check them out, see the content of each exam and what are the main topics covered. It will make you feel more comfortable, and then support this with communities like user groups, online forums, uh, Twitter questions. You know, it's endless, the support that you can get from AWS and the communities. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Martin?
I can go next. So AWS is constantly evolving, and personally, because we're on the machine learning meetup, if you have no idea about machine learning and are interested in learning more about machine learning, definitely join a local machine learning or join our meetup as well. But some of the things, and then reInvent can be kind of stressful in the sense that there's so many announcements. But I want to give a couple of shout outs to AWS What's Next by Nick and Rob. They do a fantastic job of
Guys.
summarizing everything. And I also wanted to highlight an episode or a YouTube channel. It's called How to Build This by Gillian Ford, and she explains that a 10,000-foot overview of how to build like personalized apps and other stuff. So feel free to check that out. And then you can reach out to your user group community as well.
Love it. Vanessa, close us out.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to close this up. So I will just repeat my colleagues' advice is open your mind, don't be afraid, join meetups, check it out, the AWS Next, and how can we be able to, and for me, I can say, be curious, be an energy supplier. So tomorrow, you all will be amazed. How can we power tech together? So this is it.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It has been an absolute privilege to sit together with you virtually. And that wraps this episode of today's AWS Community Voices. Please tune in next week, same time, when we're going to be together with AWS Community Builders. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
So
you,
it's
Alien.
fun. We're a
Bye.
user group. Bye. Bye. Bye.